Maruti Suzuki is a stock that has been under pressure this week as various companies plan to roll out their own small cars to gain market share in a rapidly growing market for this segment especially. Now let's go across to Vishal Bhargav, who will explain to us what that means for Maruti. Vishal, it's been an unprecedented showcasing of small cars in this Auto Expo, and what should we make of this, especially in the light of the pressures, the competitive pressures that Maruti will come under now?
Well, George, yes, absolutely. In this Auto Expo, several automakers coming out with their own version of small cars, showcasing them. What it essentially mean, of course, in terms of Maruti is that competition will just increase substantially in the small car space. Just to give you some companies that have actually announced their small car concepts, it ranges right from GM to Volkswagen to Honda to Toyota. All these companies, especially Toyota as well as Volkswagen, have been there, but that's essentially in the premium segment. So clearly, they're actually shifting their base essentially from the high-end segment to the small car segment. For Maruti, what does it essentially mean? As a company that has about 55% market share in the car space, derives about 70% volumes essentially from the small car segment itself, it means that, of course, one, they'll be facing pricing pressure, because as these companies come in with their models, most of these cars which you're talking about, they're in the sub 5 lakh range. That's when Maruti essentially has an extremely strong presence. The brands include right from WagonR to Swift to Alto. So clearly stiff competition coming up in terms of Maruti. Of course, some of that aspect in terms of market share will start showing off only probably from next year onwards, because most of the launches will start taking place from the next 3 or 6 months. There's Volkswagen that launches the Polo in March, but most of the other brands essentially will be coming up at the end of the year. So clearly we're seeing big competition coming up, big ambitious targets being set by some of the companies. Toyota has in fact said that they're looking to triple their market share to more than 10% by 2015.
Right, Vishal, you've clearly outlined all the competitive pressures that Maruti is likely to face. We also had Nakanishi come out and say that 2010 could be a bit of a difficult year. What really is the game plan then to beat the competition at Maruti?
Well, Shivani, one of the aspects has already started bearing fruition for Tata Motors. That's of course in terms of the export base. If you look at it over the last 10 months or so, we have seen Maruti post strong volumes, and one of the key propellers for that growth has been exports, especially exports to Europe. So exports has been one element for them. The other is of course that because people are entering the small car space, Maruti Suzuki is essentially looking to get into the high margin car space. Look at the type of focus now. Right now they're giving in terms to the SX4 or to the Dzire, or there's one other car that actually Suzuki has shown at the Auto Expo, that's the Kizashi, which is likely to come out at the end of the year or probably early next year, which in the price range of about 12 to 13 lakhs. That's what sources tell us. So clearly they're focusing away also from the small car to get into the high margin car space. So that's exports, high margin, and of course the big thing that could help Maruti Suzuki is of course in terms of the distribution network. That's a big plus in a market that's growing fast and is getting increasingly competitive.